All right, you planned it all now perfectly, but how are you going to put it into practice? Better yet, how are you going to prepare for this big opportunity? I had a lot of different ways to cope with this, and I saw people that I was working with handle it in a different way. And right now you are going to learn what is the most effective way. You don't have to make the big mistakes that I personally made that made me refund complete speaking gigs. Okay? What I see is that you have two quite extreme scenarios. We have team scripting, is what I call it now, and we have team winging it. Let's first discover what they are, then what the pros and cons on, what you are, and what the optimal way for you would be to prepare best from this point forward. Okay? So let's use some props to really anchor in this in an emotional way. And let's use these glasses at team scripting. Team scripting, has these things on the side because they don't see new things. They see only their script. They're bending down, you see their forehead most of the time, and they're writing every single word of their whole presentation, and they are memorizing that thing. They're memorizing that thing literally. I get questions like, Lori, is it however or despite? I'm like, I don't know, I'm not native English speaker. This is team scripting, okay? Now, my question to you, what is amazing about team scripting? What's amazing about scripting your whole entire presentation? You can pause the video if you want to think a little bit further, because I will share some thoughts that I've heard and that I've experienced. And that is that when you really dial it in, you have to think about specific details that team winging it would forget. Because when you write it down, you will see gaps. You're like, oh, I didn't think of this part. How this is really glued together. I don't think I exactly know this yet. So by writing it down, you're forced to think about those little details that otherwise might be forgotten. What else? Team scripting really rehearses it over and over and over again to such a way where it's just in the body. So when you're nervous or not, your body, you verbally said the script over and over again, and you went through it and you iterated upon it and you improved it and you thought about the one specific word, right? So you practice it so many times that it's in your body, and even when you're nervous, it is in your body. Now, on the other side, what might be not optimal of extreme scripting? What do you think? You can pause the video again if you want and think first for yourself, which I would highly advise you to do, because then you make it your own. What I would say, and what I also experienced, is when I really think about those specific words and then I rehearse this whole script, there's a certain expectation that I have from myself of my performance. And I don't know about you, but for me, like, learning a literal script is no fun. No fun. It takes so much time. I put so much pressure on myself. So the expectations are so high and I can basically only fail, which makes my anxiety levels go through the roof. My performance anxiety, crazy. And then I don't feel like I'm really coming from the heart when I'm delivering it in the moment. Like, I really love to be authentic and present. So that for me is really, really hard. So that's team scripting. Now let's see the complete other side. Team winging it. Team winging it feel celebrative. Look at this. I mean, come on now. This is epic. We are just vibing with the crowd, We are just connecting from our heart. We're flowing with whatever comes through us. We know that when we're present, we can deliver the best. And we interact with the people right in front of us. We thrive on their energy, and therefore we're always coming with truth. Now, this is team winging it. my question to you, what's amazing about Team Wing It? What's amazing? Again, you can pause the video. What I believe and what I experienced as well is everything I just said. When you are truly present and you just feel the truth and you speak it out, and sometimes that's what I experience. When I'm in that state, I come up with things and I'm like, wow, I feel really smart right now. All these things that I'm saying makes total sense. And then the audience, reacts and you're vibing with it and you keep going. On the counter side, what are the things that are not always useful about Team Winging It? And again, what caused me to actually refund like a speaking gig was very embarrassing, is you cannot completely trust your performance. Because sometimes it might be extremely magical and effective and super impactful. But sometimes when you're just super present and you kind of forgot what you were saying and you lose it and you take so much more time than was necessary, or you just stop after 10 minutes and maybe you add 20, and it becomes just super awkward when you did not practice it, when it's not in your body, when you don't exactly know what your aim is, when you don't exactly know the stories, when you don't exactly know how it's glued together. You can miserably fail as well. And I can tell you, when you do that completely on this side and it turns out not to work, then there's a big emotional experience that was no fun connected to speaking, and that's not what we want. So I've experienced both sides where I was completely focused on the script, and I had times when I was totally winging it. And in both sides I did great, and in both sides I had moments where I was like, I didn't like it so much. So now, what is the optimal way? What if there's a certain combination that really works? And I would call it a little like this. First of all, let's reflect a bit. Where do you feel that you land mostly? I've worked with actors who now want to come from the heart, and they're so used to the scripting that it's really hard to connect to their authentic presence and speak from here. I had people who were a little similar like me, and they have this idea, I cannot remember it anyway, so I just have to come from here. Right? So where do you feel that you land mostly? And what I would say is, in order for you to find balance within, you want to experience both sides. So when you're now completely scripting everything and really feel like the thought, like anxiety just already, comes through your body when you're even thinking about this side, then go for it. Like seriously, like go for the extreme on this side and find a safe place to practice. Find some people, maybe from this community, that you can practice with in a safe environment where you feel, I feel supported, and when I feel I will be in a safe environment. But it would be really useful for you to experience the other side. Now, the other side is when you are completely winging it. Write it down for once, look at all the things, write it out completely, fill in those gaps, see what you're missing, think of the wording that you're going to use, right? And then when you experience both sides, you can also more easily find the middle. The middle where, for example, and this is how I prepare most of the time, I write down my aim, I write down the stories, and I write the bullet points of the stories. Now, instead of just, listing the whole script out, which doesn't really work for me, it's not really fun, I don't come into flow, but what does work is practice every story individually. And I don't only do that by myself, I don't only just talk it out loud, I also do this wherever I go, right? So if I'm meeting my friends and I just want to tell this one story, I just tell the story and I practice it over and over and over again, right? Because we're using real stories, we can practice those stories all the time. Now, what I really do every time is practice it out loud. There's a very much of a difference by writing a script and then reading it and speaking what you're going to say. And what works really well for me is speaking it out over and over and over again. So when I see the bullet point, I exactly know what I'm going to say. Better yet, my body is already prepared because I've told that story so many times. So it doesn't matter if I use the spider, whatever, however, whatever, but I know what I'm going to say. On the other side, and this is going to be very, very interesting, you can wing it, you can be present, you can authentically flow once you have this in order, right? Some people think when I prepare, I come across very robotic, but then you actually did not prepare enough. The most authentic and present people and delivering the aim that they want to get are the people who first did this and then go here, right? The people who are currently winging it, they just did not prepare. But when you can prepare first and out of this, that knowing that you just know what you're going to say, become more and more present and start to iterate a bit while you're there and you feel certain things and you adapt a little bit, but you know where you're going, that's in the end where you want to finish. Now, the last thing that I want to say about this is this illusion of perfection, right? Sometimes we overscript things because of a thought or a belief that when it's not first completely on paper, we cannot deliver it. But in reality, there's always 3 different presentations that you do. The one you thought you were going to do, the one you did, and then the one you wished you did. So there's never ever this one perfect version. The dance that you're about to go on, the journey, the dance of the balance between scripting and winging it is the one where you can find yourself fast, recognize where you are, adapt, and increase your level of comfort with both ends. Because the true magicians on stage are the ones who can love both. So go dance with it, recognize where you are, and practice the opposite, and therefore find the balance. I'm so stoked for you. This is going to be a fun ride. Enjoy.